embarking on a journey through the cosmos. Galaxies shine with every step we take. Voyagers of time and space, we wander. Uncharted paths, our destinies will make. Drifting through timelines, drifting through timelines. Stars unfold their stories in the twilight. Travelers intertwine in cosmic streams. With every pulse, new horizons waiting. Futures born from yesterday's lost dreams. Drifting through timelines, drifting through timelines. Navigate the solid mysteries. Wormholes flicker, calling us to fly. Every leap a note in endless symphonies. Together we glide through universal seas of stars. Drifting through timelines, drifting through timelines.
Hello everyone and welcome to my live stream today. I'm Sci-Fi Historian, and tonight, and as usual, we're going to do some friendly chats on the community of different sci-fi TV shows or movies and topics. Now, please welcome to the panel, the one and the only PvP. Hello PvP, how's it going?
Okay, I'm back.
Hello PvP, say hello to the community.
Hi, everybody.
All right, and to everyone on the panel and in the audience, let's give a nice round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you, fans.
All right, can you feel the ego building up?
Sure.
All right, and on the first list I have here, I'm gonna be doing a tier list for some Stargate rankings I have set up here, and if I'm able to set this up correctly, let's see here. Share screen. Here we are. This one, if the audience and you are able to see it, this ranking list is Stargate SG-1 character ranking list maker. I may have to reduce the size a little bit here, right here. All right, and my tiers, or at least on this list, is main character investments, secondary character investment, and so on and so forth. You can check out the categories right here. Okay, first off is one of the main Janai villain characters from Stargate Atlantis, Atestus Colia. And for this one, I was interested in him because he was a good villain.
I think I remember him.
All right. Then up next we have the main villain of the last two seasons of Stargate SG-1, the Ori the Kara, I think it is. I just forgot her name, but it's the Queen of the Ori. She was a good villain. I put her in the main villain category right here. She was a good villain. Then up
Nora,
next,
did they have like mind reading powers or supernatural powers almost? It seemed.
yes, they were basically well, fans would. This is my criticism of the Ori. They were like a amped up a grow old.
Okay. They did. I remember saw a few episodes with them, and they seemed very overbearing and very powerful. So yeah, I could see them being good villains.
Alrighty, then up next we have a SGC Colonel right here. I think one of the SG teams. I forget his name, but he's a somewhat character investment right here. Yeah, somewhat. Then up next we have, some would argue, the best villain of SG1, Stargate SG1, Anubis. Basically the Emperor Palpatine of the Stargate universe. And he is a very interesting character and a good villain as well. Then up next we have SG1, Apophis, the Grow Old. This one, I put him in the interesting category. True, he's a bad guy, but not as evil as Anubis, and similar to the Ori Queen, but a little less interesting. And I'm going to get heat from that from Stargate fans. Let's see. Let's see here. Apophis is their favorite Stargate villain. Then up next, we have one of the alien bounty hunters. No interest in him whatsoever. Then up next, we have Ball, everyone's favorite Sith Lord. They would not mind living under. Ball. He's a interesting grow old villain. Then up next we have Chief of Security of Stargate Atlantis. I don't know his name, but he was in charge of Stargate Atlantis' security. Sergeant Bates, I think his name was. And he was, I would say, yeah, I barely remember him. So hardly any character invested from him, besides just being a security officer. Then up next we have Dr. Carson Beckett, if I'm saying his name correctly. Basically Atlantis' main doctor. He has some character development investment I have for him.
Yeah, he was a pretty good character. Didn't he get cloned at one point in the show?
Yes, I think he died either mid-season 3 or towards the end of season 3, and then they brought him back because the fan reaction was so.
Well, he was a likable character. I got to say that I did enjoy his character quite a bit. So yeah, I think they brought him back as a clone or some crazy thing.
Yes. Then up next we have Teal'c's Jafar mentor. I think I'm saying his name, Braytak. He was an interesting character as well. Then up next we have the commander of the Dauntless BC 304 class.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Colonel Stephen Conwell.
He was a good character.
Interesting secondary character.
Yeah, I liked it. The Daedalus ship was pretty awesomely cool.
Then up next we have, let's see here. I think this is Cassandra, the child actor, if they have this correctly. Basically, Dr. Fraser's adopted daughter. I have barely any investment in that character whatsoever. They barely use her as it is.
Yeah, I don't remember her really.
Then up next we have, let's see here. Oh, the first casualty of the Stargate SG-1 team, or command. I don't know his name, but he was a minor character in the first 2 episodes of the Stargate show, and he was killed by being affected by a gold symbiote. He is a somewhat interesting character. Then up next we have everyone's favorite Russian colonel. I can't even pronounce his name. I probably will not try it. But he was the one that got in charge of a Russian-made BC 304 class before it was destroyed by the Ori at the season 9 finale. He was a interesting character. Then up next we have a girl old system lord named Kronos. He was, I think, briefly in seasons 4 and 5, maybe 6 before they killed him off. He was a somewhat interesting character. And then Daniel Jackson, one of the main characters of SG-1. He is, I'm torn between putting him in. I mean, he is a main character, but do I have main character investment for him or secondary character investment? I mean, I'm going to get heat from this. I'm split. Should I do major or minor? I think I'm going to get heat. I'll put him in second tier, right here. As for, this is General Hammond's aide right here. He was very influential. I don't remember his name, but he helped General Hammond when it came to military matters and somewhat political issues within the Tory, aka the human race on Earth. He was a good aide. I put him in a some secondary character investment third tier for him. Then up next we have the main Ori priest right here, basically the figurehead of the physical form of the Ori in the physical plane. As a villain, I put him in third. I'll put him in fourth tier. Right here, that guy. Then a Tory scientist. I don't know his full name. I know his first name is Bill. He is a. I put him right here, third tier as well for him. Then everyone's favorite Tory general, General Hammond. Some would say one of the best secondary characters. Yeah, he was a good leader.
He was memorable. I liked his character.
Yeah, he's top tier. Then up next we have Major Lauren, the leader of Stargate Atlantis' second team. He was a secondary character. Let's see here. Major Warren, I put him in third tier. Yes. Then the somewhat competent Tari scientist that always is over his head. He only appeared in 2 episodes, I think it was. I have barely any interest in him. And up next, we have the human form replicators from the Milky Way, named Fifth. He was a emotionally unstable, basically has the emotions of a child in a humanoid form. He was a I'll put him in somewhat. Yeah, fourth tier. And up next we have let's see here. Everyone's favorite rogue Tari, one of them in the Stargate Atlantis series. I think it is Ford was his name. I put him in somewhat secondary character investment. A lot of these are becoming second and fourth tier characters. Very few first tier and third tier. Then up next we have an ambitious young woman officer right here that was a rival to Samantha Carter for a few episodes, intelligence-wise. She eventually became a major in the Stargate SG program, but she only appeared in, I think, 1 or 2 episodes. She was a somewhat character as well, but we barely get any more episodes with her. Then up next we have Tayla's one of Tayla's leaders, people right here. Also, and if I know the actor, his voice sounds familiar. He may be the actor that plays Todd in the Atlantis series. His character is barely, yeah. Then here we have android maker of a planet that appeared in only 2 episodes, I think it is. Barely any investment in him. Then here we have President Hayes, the Stargate Universe's equivalent of the U.S. presidency in 2004, I think it was, when he won the presidency. He was the commander-in-chief of the U.S. forces during that time. He was a good commander of the U.S. He was I was invested in him in the episodes he was in. And the actor played him very nicely. All right, then up next, let's see here. We have, the Asgard is on the BC 304 Douglas class. I think his name is Hermione, I think it is. He was a somewhat interesting character.
Was
And
it Hermes?
Hermione, and he's an Asgard.
Yeah. He was a pretty good character, I thought.
Then up next, we have Colonel Jack O'Neill, or General Jack O'Neill. I was invested in him as a character, too. Then we have Jacob Carter, former human general turned Tok'ra and Samantha Carter's father. I'm going to put him in. I'm debating third or second tier for him.
I don't know.
I would put him maybe. Yeah, I'll do the second tier for him, and then next we have everyone's favorite Stargate base is Dr. Jennifer Fraser, if I'm saying her name correctly. She was the Stargate doctor for the first 7 or 8 seasons, I think it was, of that show. Then she was killed off. She was a good secondary character. I had some investment in her. Then up next we have Dr. McKay's sister right here, another scientist that matches McKay almost intelligence-wise. Her character, barely anything investment in her. Then Jonas Quinn replaced Dr. Daniel Jackson. I think it was either season 7, I think it was. My memory may be a little off. Either season 6 or season 7. I think it was season 7 he was in. Yes, mainly. His character, barely any investment in him as well. Fans don't really care for him. I'm in that category of fans. And then up next we have one of Dr. McKay's love interests on Stargate Atlantis. I think she studied plants as a job profession. Not sure what you call that major. A botanist, I think it is called, right?
Right. Yeah, I think I kind of remember her.
Her character was, well, besides being cute, I'll put her in 4th tier. Then we have another arrogant doctor of the science team of Stargate Atlantis. He was always complaining and always doing that stuff. I think he ended up on the BC 304 class ships, one of them. And yeah, I barely have any investment in him as well. And let's see here. Dr. Jennifer Keller right here that took over Beckett's position at the end of season 4, and then till the series ended. No, not that season. She took over season 3, not season 4. She was season 3, then she became a regular in seasons 4 and 5 of Atlantis. She was a 3rd tier character for me. And everyone's favorite villain of the Tari villain of the Stargate SG-1 era, Senator Kinsey. Yeah, he was a good villain and a good thorn in SG-1's side. He was a good villain. Then up next, we have I think it is a bounty hunter of the Lucian Alliance. I have maybe barely, no. I'll put him in 5th tier, yeah. Barely any investment. And we have another Goa'uld that disguised as Jafar. barely any investment in him as well. He was a minor character for one episode. Then up next we have Layden Radim of Stargate Atlantis series fame. He was first a soldier of the Jedi, then eventually became their leader. He was a good villain in the first half of his arc as a minor villain. He was a good one. I put him in third tier as well. Then up next we have the sexy traveler ship captain right here in Stargate Atlantis. She loves to show off some cleavage, if you know which character I'm talking about. I had somewhat investment in her. And next we have Morgana Le Fay, the ascendant being ally of the Tory in seasons 9 and 10. She took on the Marai Queen in the Arc of Truth movie. Spoilers alert. She was a good investment, in my opinion. She was. See, she is a good second tier. Then we have the leader idiot that in Atlantis that controls people through a drug that he takes.
No, that guy. Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember. He was really annoying.
I put him in fourth tier. Then up next we have another Tok'ra leader. I think he was a background character. I have barely any investment in him. Then up next we have I think it was the alien human that became a director in the human industry. If you know the character I'm talking about.
Don't remember him.
He was I was somewhat invested in his story. And then up next we have everyone's some would say favorite Tok'ra, second beyond Jacob Carter. I think Joe and Janice or Jonas. No, I'm thinking of another character name. But he was the love interest of Samantha Carter of the Tok'ra until it was found out he was brainwashed and he tried to kill the Tok'ra. I was somewhat invested in him. Now, next we have another Tory villain turn, or Ray left the hero towards the end of season, I think it was 8 or 9. Colonel Mayborn, if I'm saying his name correctly. He was a good thorn in the SG's team's side till he became the king of a primitive world. He was I'll put him in the interesting. Now, next we have everyone's love to hate or love Wraith hybrid Michael Kenmore, or unless I'm saying is another name for another character, but his name is Michael, and he became a thorn in the Atlantis expedition's side throughout seasons. I think he was interested in season 2. Then he became a recurring villain throughout the series till he was finally ended somewhere in season 5, I think it was. He was a second tier villain. Then up next we have the bit browner era of Stargate, the leader, Colonel Mitchell. He was a good investment. I'll put him in top tier for me. Let's get this working correctly. There we are. Then up next we have everyone's favorite little advanced I think the alien race is called the Tolan. They were massively arrogant in their own technological superiority over the gold. That was their undoing, and the gold killed them. But he was a somewhat interesting character. Then up next we have everyone's favorite genocidal maniac grow old, Nirti, that had a sexy host body. And she, well, besides her body, she was a second tier villain, in my opinion. Then up next we have the leader of the Pegasus replicators, the bald guy that was on Mesh as well, if you know the guy I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. Gosh, I used to know his name. I'm drawing a blank at the moment, but yeah, he was on MASH towards the latter part of that series.
Yeah, the replicators as a villain and him as a villain. I was invested in him as a villain.
He was good.
In one.
He was quite menacing. Yeah, I liked his character.
Then up next we have another ascended being called Otoma, I think her name was. She helped Daniel Jackson ascend, but her character, I'll put her in 4th tier right here. Then up next we have another gold. Took over the host of Daniel Jackson's girlfriend, Osiris, I think the gold's name was. She was, I'll put her, let's see here. I'll put her in 3rd tier. Yes. Then up next, I have no idea who this guy is. I have no character investment in him. Then up next, we have an alien that impersonated SG teams personnel. He was hiding with the Tari because the gold were hunting him. I think that's him. I have barely any investment in him. And everyone's favorite Atlantis scientist, Dr. Rodney McKay. You either hate him or you either love him. He's a very polarizing figure in the fandom.
I like McKay. I found him entertaining. And he was actually a Canadian character on the show, which was refreshing because you don't see it hardly ever a Canadian character on a sci-fi show. Because remember, he had the Canadian patch on his uniform?
Yes, he did. All right, then up next, let's see here. Oh, everyone's favorite muscle of the SG A team.
There you go.
Ronan.
Do you think that was one of the actor's early appearances? Because I had never heard of him before I started watching Atlantis.
Neither have I. I think he was in the Conan reboot movie. I'm not sure when that movie came out, but I think Atlantis was his first appearance, I think it was.
When was Atlantis out? Was that around 20-something years ago now?
I could look it up for us. He appeared in season 2 as the Ford replacement.
Yeah, he was a runner when he first started, right? He was being hunted, I believe.
Yes, he was.
In the early episodes. And I really liked his character. You know, people say he's not a good actor, but I thought he was a really good actor in the Atlantis series. I really liked his character. And of course, now he's become a big star, you know, a big movie star in the last 10 or 15 years. So
let's see if I'm able to look it up for you correctly. Okay, the first episode appeared in 2004, and it ran from about 2009, if I had to guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it did 5 seasons, I believe, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like 100 episodes or something, yeah.
Alrighty, let's see here. Then up next on this list, we have Teal'c's son. I'm not sure how... I forget his name, but his character somewhat interesting as Teal'c's family. He was only in, I think, 4 episodes of the entire show of SG-1.
Mm.
Then up next we have someone called Mary Sue Tari character, Samantha Carter. I put her in top tier.
I think she's kind of a fan favorite as far as the guys go, right? Like,
yep,
she was pretty easy on the eyes.
And she's a native-born Brit too. I think she is.
Was she?
Well, the actress. Not sure about the character she plays though.
Well, I imagine a fair number of because don't forget the SG shows. Well, at least the original one in Atlantis, I know, were filmed down in Vancouver, around Vancouver, here in BC. So I imagine there's a fair number of these people that might have been actually Canadian actors. I mean, I'm not positive about that, but I would guess that there were some of these that were Canadian actors.
Mm-hmm. Next we have Oh, Daniel Jackson's first wife that was victim of a gold symbiote. I forget her name. She was I'm debating either somewhat or barely because
Decisions.
Yeah, I barely remember her. I'll put her in that tier, 5th tier.
Yeah, well, if you barely remember her, then she's probably in the correct tier there.
All right, then up next we have the commander of the Stargate Atlantis, the military one, Shepard, I believe his name is John Shepard.
Yeah, he was one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, I was invested in him as well in the Atlantis series.
Well, he was a very strong leader, a very strong military guy. So I really enjoyed his performance in the show.
Then up next, let's see here. One of the either Stargate operators or one of the Starship crew that when they eventually started to get ships. I don't know his name, but he was one of the original supporting cast, and he appeared throughout the series. I had somewhat more investment in him. And then someone's argue one of the best Tory villains. Not sure. But you probably could tell the actor I'm going off of. He played the Q in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Is that John Delancey?
Yeah, he played a good villain. Originally, he played a Tory colonel, but then he got dishonorably discharged. Then he became a civilian. Then he eventually became a host. He was a good villain, actually. But he was also... He only appeared, I think, in roughly a total of 6 or 7 episodes of the entire show, I think it was.
Huh.
Then up next we have... this character, I think he was Jack O'Neill's adopted son, and he was Apophis' son's host for the Goa'uld. I'll put him in this tier. Then up next we have everyone's favorite Jafar, Teal'c. I put him in the top tier list. Then up next, let's see here. We have everyone's sexy alien in Stargate Atlantis, Kayla Amagan. And you know why. Top tier. Then,
yeah, I remember her.
Then up next we have everyone's favorite Asgard, Thor. He was a recurring character in SG-1. I think he appeared in, I'm going to say, probably almost a season's worth of episodes sprinkled about the entire show's run. So he was a recurring character. I was invested in him as an allied character, mainly. Then let's see here. Everyone's either frenemy or enemy wraith right here. Todd. I put him in
Todd was a great
interesting character right here. Interesting.
Oh, I'd put him first here. I think he was one of the more interesting villains because he had a duality to him, right? Because he also he also helped the Atlantis crew at times, right? He kind of flip-flop, which made him kind of interesting because he was unpredictable. Yes. I like the performance of the actor too. I thought he gave a good performance as Todd.
All right, then we have here Vala's husband. That was a Ori soldier, but then I think she had the marriage annulled by the end of the Arc of Truth. He was a semi-interesting character. He was basically a victim circumstance. He was a indoctrinated soldier until he saw the light at the end of the tunnel that the Ori doctrine was a full-on lie. He was a good character as a secondary character. Then up next we have... I have no idea who this guy is. No interest in him whatsoever. Then we have Vala Maldoran, if I'm saying her name correctly. played by Claudia Black. She is A tier, obviously. Then up next, let's see here. Oh, everyone's favorite Stargate operator. I think his name is Walter, Sergeant Walter. He is a I put him in third tier. And he's a good background character, but he's bordering on the second tier level, but he is third tier for me. And then we have Elizabeth Weir. Someone say the weak leader of Atlantis, because she was a weak leader for Atlantis. I mean, she was a diplomat, but the show rarely used her diplomatic skills for that show. She was a weak character. I put her in fourth tier as a leader and as a character. Then up next, we have someone say his redemption arc was in Atlantis. Richard Woolsey. He was a good character for Atlantis.
Yeah, he actually was an interesting character.
Then the last one on this list, the last few are Lord Yu from Gold from Stargate SG-1, and yes, his name is Yu, so the joke's a bun with puns on his name. He was a somewhat interesting character. In the show, the Golden are portrayed as evil, and to a lesser extent they are, but Lord Yu, as people would say, he is the lesser of the evil. In other words, he's the Gold you want to negotiate with. That won't stab you in the back as much as most Gold would. Then up next we have McKay's scientific rival. That's always belittled by McKay. You know which one I'm talking about. So like,
yeah, he's a good character.
Yeah, I put him in main character. Good character investment. And that's my ranking list. I could send you a link to do your own ranking list on these characters if you want PvP, but this is how I would rank them, though.
Yeah, well, I think your ranking's probably going to be more valid because I haven't seen all the episodes. Like, I haven't seen a lot of the first series, so. But what I know about some of the characters on here, I'd say your ranking's pretty accurate anyway. So I don't think I could do much better.
All right, then beyond that list, this is the next list if I know how to share it. Let's see here. Okay, let's see here. Go to share screen. Let's see if I'm able to figure out which one it is. Let's see here. Here it is. This is the Tari ship list right here. And if you're not familiar with the Tari ships, you're probably going to see out like a sort of them. These are the ship designs and all that. Next, we have the cruiser class of the Gold Empire. This ship, if you want a middle management ship for logistics, it's a good ship for that. For attack, it's okay for attack, but its main role is basically for transport. I put it in C tier for ship purposes and all that. Then up next we have the Gold Attack. This was the main villain ship for the first few seasons until the Tari outpaced it with their BC-304 class and BC-304 classes, and then the attacks became the punching bag ship-wise to the heroes and other villain factions. So I put this one in C tier. Then up next we have the Gold Motherships, basically an upgrade to the attacks. I put this one in B tier. Then we have the one of the replicator escape pod ships right here. This one is just for an escape pod ship, a D tier. Then we have the replicator cruiser right here that I think appeared in seasons 7 and 8 of SG-1 of the humanoid replicators. That I put this in B tier as well. Then for the Asgard O'Neill class, an upgrade version of their Ballister class. It's the main Thor ship when Asgard introduced before that ship was replaced, I think, midway of season 6 or 7 of the show. Then the O'Neill class took over that ship's role. This ship was a good design. I put it in A tier. Then this is the BC-304, the Tari class, S tier for me. Then the gold super weapon ship right here appeared in season 7, I think it was. It was disabled and eventually destroyed. I put this one as a solid B tier. Then the Atlantis the city ship in the Atlantis show, I put this in A tier. And then up next we have the travel ship that appeared in the Atlantis show. These ships are very old, run basically on mixed match parts that somehow work together somehow. I put this one in well, just about what they're working with, I put it as C tier. Then up next we have the Tara's first major attempt at the first interstellar craft. I think it's called the X-301, a human gold hybrid fighter that was eventually trashed because the gold had a booby trap in that. I put that as a first attempt A tier, but overall, by what happened, a solid D tier. Then I think this is the Delos right here, another BC-304 class, A tier. Then right here we have the Apollo, another A tier. I'm biased, but the Tari by this point have some of the most powerful ships in the Stargate franchise. Then up next we have the Pyramid Ship class, appeared in the Stargate movie and as well as the show. I think it did a few times before it was replaced by the main Hatak class ship. I barely remember it. I'm going to put it in E tier because it's very not memorable for me. Then the Gold Death Glider, probably would say the icon of the Gold Empire. Fighter-wise, tech-wise, it's a solid C tier tech-wise. But for iconic, I put in A tier just for being iconic. Then up next we have the Replicator satellite ship. Basically, a huge beam was pushed through it to try to destroy Atlantis. For a clever ship design, I give it a solid A. And then, A class for that one. Then up next we have the Wraith Cruiser class in the Stargate Atlantis show. I give that class a solid B tier right there. Then up next we have the Tauris, the first official galactic ship, the BC-303 class, aka the Prometheus class. That appeared, I think it was season 6, then it became the main ship of the Tauri fleet for the next 3 seasons. So it was destroyed in the Ori arc. Then the class was eventually replaced by the BC-304 class. The ship design was ugly, but its purpose, I give it a solid B tier. And another BC-304 class, I think this is the Chinese version. The Tauri built about 7 the BC-304 classes by the end of the show, and they were very powerful ships. I put this in S tier for ship designs. Then up next we have the Ancient Design or Aurora class. Very powerful battleships of the Ancient Design, and the Pegasus replicators use. They're called Alterans, I think it is. That's a solid A tier design-wise and durability-wise. They're good ships. And then up next we have the Tari BC and the Tari F-302 fighter interceptor. Basically the Tari space fighters and planetary fighters. They were solid S tier fighters. Yes, I'm biased towards Tari, but can you blame me? And then up next we have another Gold Empire capital ship class. This is a solid B tier as well. Up next we have the Destiny ship from Stargate Universe. The design was okay. I'll give this one a solid I'll do C. A tier below than the third-rate powers. The design is okay, but my opinion of it is split. Now next we have some alien ship that I have no idea. E tier, obviously. Then next we have the Midway Station that appeared in season 3 through 4 till it was destroyed by the Wraith. And then it was a good station. I'll give it a solid A plus for design wise and purpose wise. Then next we have the terraforming ship from SG1. That was terraforming a planet. Just a 1-episode show. A solid. Well, if it's a terraforming ship for its purpose, I'll give it a solid D for what it does. Then next we have the Ori original battleship class before it was replaced by the O'Neill class called this is the Ballister class ship. For its purpose, I'll give it a solid B tier. Then for the Wraith Hive ship, basically the carriers of the Wraith fleet, this is a solid threatening ship, a solid S tier for that one.
I'd say that's definitely S tier.
Then up next we have the ancient satellite system. Basically has a huge beam weapon that destroys Wraith Hive ships. Power-wise, S tier. Then the Orion motherships. Oh, that was a good counter to the BC-304 class until the BC-304s got overpowered. And I'll give that ship design, well, a solid S tier as well. Then the puddle jumpers from Atlantis. And if you want full-on stealth mode for a ship, that's a good ship to have. Defense-wise, it has okay defenses, but its main purpose is exploration. I'll give that one a solid
yeah, those weren't
B rating.
Bad. They were decent ships.
Then everyone's favorite expendable Wraith ship, the Wraith Dart. And that is a solid A.
They were basically like raiding ships, were they not? Where they try and go on a planet and just
call populations. Yes.
Yeah.
Then up next we have the Goa'uld transport ship. I'm not sure, the Taltax or something. How do we say that name? Basically a small cargo ship. That's a solid. That's a solid C rating. Yeah. And then another alien ship. I have no idea. E tier. So on the Atlantis ships, would you agree that the tier roughly matches your expectations, or would you place a few of these a little higher than what I did?
Well, I'm not familiar with a lot of them, but I think the S tier ones I'd probably agree with those pretty much. But I'm not as familiar with the ships. I mean, even Atlantis, I haven't watched it in a long time. So there's a few things I remember, like some of the Wraith ships were memorable. But yeah, I'm not as much of an expert on the SG ships as you are, Dan.
Yeah, and well, I'm not a full-on expert either, but I will say this: Star Wars was my first passion, but when that went down the shitter, I found SG1, and that became my favorite hobby to study and watch. Then after that was Star Trek, but the ones close to my heart are Star Wars, Star Trek, and Stargate. Those are my top 3 shows I like to watch and do research on.
As far as regular science fiction shows, they probably should be pretty much at the top of the list. They're the shows that come to mind pretty quick.
And that's roughly it for that list. And then let's see here. I created my own list right here. This is of the Stargate villains faction. But I may be missing a few though. Let's see here.
Didn't you
Find me
have
on
the
the
villains already in your first list, though?
those were the Stargate Journal characters, heroes and villains list, or characters in general.
Hmm.
You know what? I won't cover that list right now. I could do it on another stream. Yeah, I'll cover that one later.
Yeah,
Well,
it might be
beyond.
might be a bit repetitious since we already covered a lot of the characters in the first list.
Mm, all right. Well, let's see here. Are you ready for Starfleet Academy season 2 coming out?
Hell no.
uh,
I have not. I think. What was it? Curtis Selby did a watch party of the first episode of that of the Academy, and basically everybody agreed it pretty much sucked. It was pretty painful, and I've seen clips here and there of some of the other episodes, but they all basically look really stupid. Like the characters are dumb, the writing is abysmally stupid. Uh, the show looks ugly. I don't like well, it's just like a lot of the the fake Trek stuff we've been getting for years now. It's there's a lot of badly lit, kind of crappy designs. Not the brilliant designs of the real Star Trek from earlier series that were very functional and also looked great and had good lighting crews that knew their craft. These shows look like they're lit by amateurs half the time, and I just I can't get into that stuff. I really can't.
I will say this: the Captain Mumble's nickname for the Starfleet Chancellor of that show, that's well deserved for her name.
Oh, you're talking about the one that walks around with barefoot?
Yeah.
I can't stand her. She's a terrible actress, I think. Like some people, I know she's done previous stuff, and some people seem to think she did some good work in the past, but you wouldn't know it from watching this show because, oh, I mean, the writing doesn't help, of course, but she can't even like even with bad writing, a decent actor can still, be a decent actor. They might have bad dialogue to deliver, but at least they won't look like a total fool. But she manages to just stumble through every scene she's in, and she just looks like, I'm sure there's, you know, kids acting high school plays that are more polished than she comes across. It's embarrassing, really. She should be embarrassed to have this show on her resume. She really should be.
And do you know what's ironic? From what fans and from what people that actually watch the show, her voice sounds familiar. She does the voice of Mrs. Incredible from the Incredibles movie.
Okay, well, I haven't watched that one, so. Uh, but that's the animated movie, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, that came out in 2004 or 2005, I think it did.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't seem like her career is going in the right direction.
No, she's probably doing it for a paycheck.
Yeah, well, I don't think. I mean, how many people are still talking about Discovery now?
None, except for
No,
hate watching.
nobody cares. Like, let's put it this way. I mean, the original series of Trek is 60 years old, I believe, this year. People are still talking about it. People are still watching it. People are still interested in it. People still have, discussions about what this episode is about or what that episode means. They're still analyzing the interaction of the crew members, the bridge crew. I mean, there's just all kinds of you know people still discussing various aspects of that show, and you know here we are, like, what, how many years since Discovery ended? Like just a couple years? Is it 2 3 years? I forget now,
I
but
have no idea.
it hasn't been very long, and it's already been forgotten basically. Uh, and I guarantee nobody's going to be talking about Discovery or Academy 60 years from now. Nobody's even going to remember those shows. Nobody's even going to know they ever existed. You know, so I think these shows were basically designed to fail. I think for some reason the people creating these shows, well, was it Abrams that started all this craziness? And didn't he say he didn't even like Star Trek? So it's like there you go. You give the franchise over to people that don't even really like it, and it's like, well, what do you think they're going to do to the show? Of course they're going to take it apart.
Um,
Uh,
uh, if what I understand research wise and for fans or spectators show, J.J. Abrams did the films. Kurtzman, his minion, he did the shows.
okay, yeah, I know. There's was it Kurtzman? Kurtzman was it?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Kurtzman. Yeah, well, Kurtzman's even worse. I didn't like the JJ movies, but the first one made no sense. Story wise, I thought there were too many plot holes. I hated Into Darkness. I hate that movie with a passion. I thought that movie was really bad. And don't bring back a retro character like Khan if you're going to change him to the point where he's not even. Why call him Khan when the character is totally unrecognizable? They should have just created a brand new character, but they're going for the fan the fan service stuff, and it doesn't work when they do it badly like that. That movie was so boring. I couldn't wait to get out of the theater watching that junk. And the third movie, it was a good popcorn movie, I guess. It was a little better as far as having some pacing, but it was still basically just kind of a dumb action movie. And I'm being generous there. That's about all it really amounted to. So those
I
movies were poor in my book.
I barely remember In the Dark. I mean, barely remember Beyond. In the Darkness, I hate that one since it's a ripoff of a Wrath of Khan. And as for Star Trek 2009, to me, it's slop. It is.
Uh, it's you could tell the people making it. I mean, the cast. I guess they kind of tried, but the thing is, it was the writing ultimately that failed. Even if the actors were trying, which they seemed to at least be doing a half-hearted attempt to like play Kirk and Spock and the crew. Um, it just didn't really work for me. And it was like, why try and do a reboot of a classic show that everybody loves? Because it doesn't matter, even if you had good writers, it's still not going to be probably up to the level of the original show. So it's like they're shooting themselves in the foot before they even start, which seems to be the whole thing with a Trek since those movies. It's just like been spiraling downhill, just like Star Wars, started to go downhill and then went into his death spiral basically, where it got so you know bad that the fans just left, and they don't care anymore. They just you know it's like I don't really care about modern Trek at all because I don't even think it's Trek. For me, it ended in 2005. With Enterprise, and even Enterprise, I think I watched maybe 50% of that series, and I still haven't ever finished watching all of it. So even Enterprise I was starting to lose my interest at that point.
I would say this that I mean, I'm going to do criticism of Enterprise. I found the characters somewhat boring, and the plot lines of that show boring as hell sometimes.
Hmm. I would agree. Yeah, that's the thing. The earlier series, like I still think TOS is the gold standard because sure there was some clunkers. There was, you know, I'd say at least maybe 3 or 4 episodes that I didn't care for. But I mean, out of the first season, the only one I really, really, really hate is Alternative Factor, which I think is a piece of junk, really. Um, but you go down the three seasons, and the first season's pretty solid. It has a few like I don't like the Harry Mudd episode. I never could get into that character. I know I'm in the minority because a lot of fans seem to love him, but I always just found him really annoying as a character. Um, and then season two starts off, really, really strong with some really great episodes. It kind of starts to go downhill about halfway through the second season, where it gets a little more inconsistent. Um, some of the episodes they're good. They're still good, pretty much, but they're starting to get to the level of inconsistency. Uh, with some, it starts off with a number of great episodes and kind of goes down to very good and good towards the latter half, and then people, season three. I mean, people have said so much about season three. I personally think a lot of fans are too hard on season three. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of fans say it is. I think that it's overall a decent season, um, especially probably the early part. There's some really good episodes early on. I like Spectre the Gun. That's always been one of my favorites. And there, it's the only season where we finally get a couple episodes where we actually get to see the Klingon battle cruisers on screen, which was really nice because it was about time they showed up, and they looked great. Um, and there was a few episodes with Klingons, and yeah, there's some good stuff there. Um, but then it had clunkers like the Children Shall Lead, which is abysmal. That's probably my least favorite episode of the series. I can't stand that episode.
Spock's brain.
Oh, well, Spock's Brain. I can watch it as comedy. If I watch it as comedy, then I can get through it. But it is like bad '50s schlocky sci-fi, basically that episode. So it's definitely probably sea level Trek at best. Uh, but I can watch it. Like I'd rather watch Spock's Brain any day than watch the Children Shall Lead because that episode is I find absolutely painful. And then you got episodes like the Space Hippies, Way to Eden or whatever it's called, I guess. You know that that episodes like that kind of have their moments. Like I like some of the Chekhov storyline when his old girlfriend shows up. That's kind of a little bit interesting. But when Spock starts, jamming, on his harp with the space hippies, it's like, wow, this did not age well. It's the one episode that really does feel like, 60s, but not in a good way. It feels like 60s, that should be in a museum somewhere because it doesn't feel like the 23rd century. It feels like the writer who wrote it was writing about the 1960s culture because, the hippies were hippies, and obviously the guy that wrote the episode didn't really like hippies very much. It was pretty obvious. And then there's some ones like what was it, the Methuselah one, where you had the guy on the planet, and he's lived for thousands of years or whatever, and he was Leonardo da Vinci, and he was Rembrandt, and he was all these famous historical characters before he took off and settled on this other planet. And that plot line is kind of interesting, and the set design is nice, but you get into the whole B plot with the android chick, and Kirk falling in love with a robot. It's like I could not buy that for a second. I found that part of the episode really painful. It really dragged it down. So there were some real mixed bag episodes in season three for sure. But I still think out of the what was it, 22 episodes or whatever, I think it was season three, 22, 24, something around there. I'd say about 11 of them I really, really think are very good episodes. I think there's even a couple that are excellent episodes, a handful of really great episodes in the series. So I think the fans are a little bit too hard on season 3.
Mm. Well, when it comes to Star Wars news, for my fandom, basically there's hardly any interest in nowadays, except for maybe the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. But even that's not jarred up much interest at all.
Well, yeah,
But
I
the
guess didn't they have a trailer or something out advertising it recently?
Yeah, I seen a few trailers. I'm not interested. I mean, how should from what they say, man, I try to get to the Mandalorian show. I can barely get through the first episode. People say, "What do you mean? It's the best episode of Star Wars." It's like, okay, but I don't care for slow burn shows unless there's a point to the slow burn start. Then it picks up pretty damn quick in the series. I mean,
Well, that's the thing. Yeah.
they say that, oh, the Mandalorian is space cowboys in space. Like, okay, but from the pacing of the first episode, it's very slow and all that. I do not care for slow pace unless there's a point to it and there's a payoff for the slow burn. But I'm not a fan of the Mandalorian show. I'm not.
Well, I agree with the slow pacing. A lot of shows, I think the problem is, Dan, is a lot of shows, even though a lot of the seasons are short now, like I don't think you hardly ever get a show that goes more than 10 episodes a season nowadays, it seems to me. And it seems that they have the slow pacing because they don't have much in the way of a storyline that they're following, and usually they go by the continuing storylines, which have become popular in recent decades. Whereas TV like Star Trek in the 60s, everything was pretty much episodic mostly then, which I kind of think is a better format. Some shows can work both, like Farscape can do self-contained episodes, but overall there's the big overarching storyline through the 4 seasons of that show that do kind of continuously develop the plot threads and the characters. The characters grow a lot and they change, which keeps it fresh and interesting, but they've got a lot to work with, right? They had great writers that were very creative, coming up with all kinds of insane ideas, which were a lot of fun. Whereas a lot of the modern shows like Mandalorian, you know, the slow pacing I think is there because they got to try and stretch it out, you know, because they don't have a lot they're working with. And if they did all the good stuff at a fast paced episode, there'd be nothing left after the first couple for the rest of the season. That's the feeling I get anyway. Um, so yeah, I just think there's a lack of creativity, a lack of quality. It seems a lot of time the writing's not there, the production's not there. Because I mean, it's like Academy, for instance. Aren't there like 20, 21 producers making that show from what I've read, seen in the credits? Like 21 producers to produce this stuff. Like I can remember when you had one producer and they did a great job on an episode. 21 producers is ridiculous. I mean, a lot of those people are just they're just name on a name on the credits there for a paycheck. They're not probably even doing anything because if they were actually real producers, they 21 of them should be in the room going, this isn't very good. What are we doing here? But of course, they're just yes men probably, and they really don't care as long as they get their money.
Yeah, and I could just hear my critics when I say I don't like slow burn stuff, and I can say them, well, you must not like over 3 hour long movies or long movies like that. It's like, no. And I'm going to bring this up. I brought it up to you a few months ago too, PvP. One of my favorite long movies is The Good, and the Bad, and the Ugly. People say that's a long movie. Well, yeah, I enjoy that movie because it's decently paced and it has a good story to it.
It's good pacing, good music. I love the music. Um, Excellent cast, good solid direction by was it Sergio Leone? I guess the director was, if I remember correctly. Um, and good dialogue, like really sharp, witty, entertaining dialogue. Often it can be very brutal in parts of the film, but also there's a lot of humor. Sometimes it's quite funny in parts. It makes me laugh some scenes. Um, and I mean, you can't go wrong with that cast. And you know, um, and it's a great cast. I mean, the good, the bad, and the ugly. They're all excellent actors. Uh, I'm trying to remember. I know Clint Eastwood's the good, and I'm trying to remember the names of the ugly and the bad now. It's kind of escaping my memory at the moment, but they're all good actors playing their characters really well. So it doesn't really matter how long the movie is if it's good, if it's well paced, if it's got excellent dialogue, good dialogue, good cast, excellent acting. Uh, and the pacing is there. You bring all that stuff together, and then you add in things like maybe lighting and technical stuff. Good editing, because some directors really know how to use edits in an interesting way. Um, if you want a long movie, I'll go back to Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, because that's like 3.5 hours long, but it doesn't feel like it when you watch it because it's just so damn good. It's one of my favorite films, and it's not one I rewatch, all the time because it's 3.5 hours long. I'm going to have to be in the right mood when I feel like watching that again. But I could see myself watching it maybe every couple years or so. Um, and it's just an A plus movie on every level. Everything I mentioned, it's solid. And the thing is, it does kind of divide itself into sections, right? Because you've got the first part where the farmers that are tired of getting their crops stolen by the bandits every year, they figure go and hire some samurai, and they don't have money or anything. They can only offer them food. So the village elder, he says, you got to go and find hungry samurai, like kind of like down on their luck, looking for work kind of samurai, right? Which is kind of fun premise at the start of the movie. And then, eventually they do, find the seven that are going to actually, be a solid team. And then it goes to the point where then the team starts to develop the villagers' skills, tries to train them to know how to at least hold their own in a battle. They fortify the village. A lot of details about fortifying the village, bridges and different access points, and you know and cutting off some points where they can trap. They can let a couple bandits in at a time and trap them, and then finish them off. So because the bandits can't escape at that point. Uh, and then of course you get the final third of the movie, which is the big battle sequence, which is really really good, very well done, and it takes place in a rainstorm, in mud, heavy mud, and it's amazing just watching these actors, actually, do some really intense fighting with this rain coming down. And I always wondered, because I know Kurosawa loved to actually film with real weather conditions, and it actually looks like it's a real downpour, a real rainstorm when they were filming a lot of that. And I've often wondered if it was a real storm that they actually shot those scenes. And I know a lot of times they'll just use the fake rain, and they'll just have like mechanics pouring the rain down on the cast, but it looks so authentically real that. But once again, a long movie that works. Other long movies like Lawrence of Arabia is great. There's just a lot of really good movies that are like 3 hours or even longer, that are much better than a lot of. Actually, they're a lot more entertaining than a lot of shorter films, because sometimes when you get a film that's like 80 minutes, there's a reason it's 80 minutes is because there's not really much going on in it. Uh, because I've seen plenty of movies like that where you watch it and you go, well, yeah, okay, I guess it was 80 minutes, popcorn movie, but it's not a movie that I would ever go back to again. So yeah.
And I would say this too when it comes to filler episodes in shows. I don't mind filler if it has a point to focus on a character, but then the filler story has to build around the character. Don't just be the filler for filler's sake. If you want to do a filler episodes, do a story within the filler episode to make it interesting. If you feature the character that has the filler with it.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, or sometimes if you got a filler episode, they instead of going along with the main plot threads of the series, you can kind of go out do a side story. Uh, they're like, sometimes maybe they'll take a character, single out a particular character for a filler episode, and kind of go into their backstory and the history of that character, and kind of build the character's backstory and make them more multidimensional and interesting. So, when you do filler like that, it can be very, very rewarding for the audience. So, yeah, I mean, it's there's filler, there's bad filler, and then there's a pretty good filler. It depends on once again the skill of the writers, I think, because I remember what was that one season ender of Next Generation where Riker was knocked out or something, and oh man, it was like a clip show, and it was really bad. Like, talk about bad filler. That's the one. What was it called? Was it Shades of Gray or something? It was a terrible episode.
I think it was Shades of Grey. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't mind filler or clip shows, but if the clip show has a reason to it, then I'm fine with it.
yeah, but I think most of the time when I see a clip show, they're just padding out the season, right? Because they got to get another episode, and it's easier to take a dozen clips from previous episodes and string them, put them together, than to actually make the effort to come up with a new story, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
either that or they're saving their money for another big budget episode next week, huh?
yeah, true. That's it. It's probably basically budget and time limitations that kind of sometimes force them. But the thing is, there's a good way you can kind of like the Menagerie, part one and two from the original series comes to mind because you could argue those are kind of partially clip shows because, you know, they were basically running behind in production. They were getting to the point where they didn't know if they'd have an episode to put, on NBC the following week. Like the production crew were getting nervous. And then, of course, Roddenberry had the genius idea because they never aired The Cage back when the series was on. So he took the first pilot, The Cage, and took a lot of clips out of that pilot episode and put a lot of the clips from The Cage into the Menagerie episodes and basically built the storyline for the overarching storyline of the Menagerie with Spock going to rescue Captain Pike, who was disabled in that terrible accident, and then they go back, and of course, then they get into the briefing room or whatever, and then they have to watch the on the screen from Talos 4 or whatever. Uh, they start getting those transmissions, and of course, the transmissions are just basically scenes from the original pilot, which pad those episodes out. But it works really well because one, you know, you'd never seen those clips because they hadn't been aired by the network. So, it was technically a clip show, but it was a good clip show, in the sense that the way it was put together, it worked really well. So yeah, I could see where clip shows can work if they're well done in a creative way. they can definitely can work. It's just I've seen plenty of bad ones too, like Shades of Grey, which I sat through that and I was like, "What am I watching?" It was so bad.
You're watching Commander Riker's worst nightmares and wet dreams.
Something like that. Yeah, it was just weird. But then, of course, I mean, we all know that Next Gen really struggled early on. I mean, that's one thing about the original series I go back to pretty much right from the start. I mean, sure, it had a few mediocre episodes, kind of trying to find its footing towards the start of the series before they'd got everything worked out yet. They were still figuring out the universe they were in, and the characters were still developing. But overall, I mean, those episodes, they'd hit the ground running, usually with the cold opening in the first few minutes before the main titles came on. You'd have like 2 or 3 minutes setting up the story. Sometimes not even that. Sometimes it'd be like less than a minute, and you'd be right into the action of the episode. Uh, and there was no long period of development. The show pretty much hit the ground running right from the start. Whereas Next Gen, like for season one, I don't know. There's a handful of, I guess, of decent episodes. There's even a couple that are pretty good, but overall, it's lackluster. Uh, and then you get season two, which it starts to improve. They're starting to get their stuff together by that point, but it takes quite a while. Uh, I think where the episode that kind of took off for me was that conspiracy episode. Was that towards the end of the second season? I can't remember, or was it end of season one? Actually, could have been. That was the
Yeah.
one. Those aliens were taking over the Federation. Do you remember that one?
No, I haven't seen it, but
Oh,
I would say the season finale of season one I think was the Neutral Zone episode, and I actually enjoyed the first season one of that Next Gen episode.
yeah, that was the one where the Romulans come back into the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good one. Actually, I think Conspiracy was the one that aired just before that. It was probably the second last episode. And I won't give you any spoilers then because I didn't see any of season one because the local channel here never showed it because they didn't think a syndicated show was going to last long. They thought it was going to bomb. And then, of course, they started airing it in season two when it got renewed. But I had to watch the first time I saw Next Gen was when I went to my cousin's place because he lived about 90 minutes away in another city. And that channel there, that station had actually showed season one from the start. And he had recorded some of the episodes on his VHS machine. This is how long ago that was. And he says, "Hey, you got to watch this episode." And he puts on Conspiracy. And I was like, wow, this is crazy, man. And I won't give any spoilers because it's a really, really good episode right from the start. And that's the thing, it grabs you right from early in the episode. You're going into a good, interesting, action packed, suspenseful storyline here. So, yeah, it's one of my favorite episodes of TNG, actually, when I look at it. But that was, to me, was, towards the end of that first season like that one and the Neutral Zone. That was when they were really starting to figure out what they were doing. Uh, and then it still was hit and miss in parts of season two, but I guess gradually the episodes were getting more consistent. And then of course by season three, I think that's when it actually really took off. And they seemed to actually find the direction they wanted to go in. So but I mean it took a while, right? I mean, it took taking getting into this third season to really get going. That's they're lucky they didn't get canceled after early on. Actually, when I think about it,
PvP. I probably did discuss with you this a few weeks ago, a few months ago, but I'll just ask it: has the nostalgia of Next Gen gone away somewhat, and has it become more mixed bag when it comes to reviewers and critics and all that. Because my point is, I know Star Trek is supposed to be overly optimistic, but I found Next Generation to be almost unbearably optimistic nowadays, judging by what I like for its next show, DS9, which that is my favorite show.
Yeah, I like DS9 a lot more. Like it's my second favorite after the original series. Um, Next Generation was always hit and miss for me. What, seven seasons, I guess it was, and it was always hit and miss. Like right through the series, even in the last season, it would have some really good episodes, and then it would have a real clunker thrown in there that would be like, oh, here we go. Um, but yeah, I think the problem was Roddenberry, because remember season 3 of the original series, the executives kind of booted Roddenberry out of the action because they got tired of his, kind of putting his nose in everywhere and basically kind of interfering with the production. Uh, so the execs just basically, he basically left in the third season. Roddenberry wasn't involved with it. And then when Next Gen, of course, came on Roddenberry was right back in there, basically running things behind the scenes. And the problem with Roddenberry is he created a great show, but when it came to, concepts like story, writing an episode or character building, because I mean he made some big errors, I think, with the characters. So that was one of the big problems. And I do get, it was kind of overly, it was kind of almost a little lightweight. It was a little too breezy, because the original series, you knew you were on an exploration mission, but often you were coming up against hostile forces, which, consistently made a lot of the episodes entertaining because they had to problem solve just about every episode to get through it.
And
Uh,
tension.
yeah, tension. And Kirk was a great commander because he'd be like back on his back almost like facing certain death almost in some situations, and he was a kind of guy that would think on his feet. You know, he'd be on the bridge and he would just be coming up with a plan, an idea, and he was great at he would listen to what the crew was saying. Spock often was the voice putting something in his ear about Captain blah blah blah. He would come up with an idea, right? And Kirk, being a good leader, would listen to all the bridge crew when they offered advice as to how to deal with something. Whereas I remember too often with Next Gen, Picard, he wouldn't be on the bridge on his feet dealing with the impending attack or whatever. He'd call a conference. They'd all go into the bloody conference room and sit around the table. And I'm like, you got a potentially hostile threat in front of you, and you're in the conference room. You're not even on the bridge at this point. Like, that felt very unrealistic to me because I don't think if you're in a potentially dangerous situation that you leave the bridge of a ship and go in another room for to sit around a table for a conference. I never could buy into that. And then you had the characters. I mean, we all pretty much agree on Wesley Crusher being more of an annoyance in most episodes than anything else. Later on, before he left the show, I guess he had a few good episodes here and there, but overall, I think he was like the character the fans love to hate, pretty much. And then you had, Roddenberry once again it seemed he wanted to like soften the show up, or I don't know, make it more family friendly or something. Because then he brings in Counselor Troy, and I mean, sure, it's great. I mean, I'm sure they had counselors on the Enterprise too, but they didn't put him on the bridge. Counselor, the only reason she was on the bridge that was plausible is because of her Betazoid mind reading capabilities. that was pretty much the only reason she was sitting on a chair on the bridge. But I always found her character to be kind of not really that substantial as a character. Often she didn't really get to do a heck of a lot. She might get a line of dialogue here and there if she was, reading some alien's mind to try and deal with the situation. But I just found her character kind of really a real secondary character. Like she just never really meant much to me. Uh, Data, of course, I like Data. Data was one thing that got right. He was interesting because his character evolved too, right? Like all through the series, Data's character was changing, and they were building layers, which kept him interesting. Whereas Counselor Troy basically stayed the same through the whole show. She never really grew as a character that I can remember. Um, Worf was also a good idea. I like Worf. Uh, that was one part I did like, that the Federation and the Klingons were now a little more or less hostile. I mean, Worf was still kind of an exception because they did come across hostile Klingons in the show. Uh, but I like Worf as a character. Geordi as the engineer, he was okay. I didn't find him as entertaining as Scotty, though. I thought Scotty, was a much better engineer because Scotty could really come up with something very quickly, whereas Geordi seemed to be a little more lackadaisical in getting stuff done sometimes. So his character was hit and miss. Picard, you know, they had some good writing with Picard. The dialogue for the character could be very entertaining in some episodes, but I still found him a little bit too soft. Uh, I didn't really wasn't totally convinced of him running a starship. Like he was often more of a diplomat than I felt than an actual commander. So I found his character kind of hit and miss, and you know, and then what other characters? I'm thinking of the doctor. What was her name?
Crusher.
Yeah, Crusher was. She was an okay character. Like I didn't mind Crusher at all, but she never really developed a heck of a lot during the series. And then, of course, they got rid of her in the second season, right when they brought was it Pulaski or whatever her name was in, as the doctor's replacement. And I did not like that character at all. I found the season two doctor very abrasive, and I just did not relate to that character. And then, of course, thank goodness they brought the original doctor back for the rest of the series, which I think was probably, well, there's probably a reason. I'm guessing they were probably getting some fan feedback partway through the second season that wasn't very positive on the doctor's replacement. So,
I
but
will I will say this. I mean, I did say this before to you, but my opinion of Picard is mixed at best and at worst negative. That's how I view Picard.
yeah, I just find him too soft. He's not a man of action. I mean, how many times did we see Picard, throw a good punch when it was necessary? Like, did he ever throw a punch? I'm not sure if
No,
he ever did. Come to think of it,
no, but he did have a good phaser rifle in First Contact on him.
that's the one Next Generation movie I actually liked.
Yes.
But the rest of them, I can totally leave them. Some of them I think are really bad. Um,
I mean,
but
that's why Picard is low on my captain's list. I mean, not as low as the other captains, but he's not. He's in my bottom top three. For me, it's Kirk, Cisco, and Picard as my top three. I know most fans that go, "Oh, for them it's Picard, Kirk, and Cisco." It's like, really? Have you actually seen how Picard acts and all that? I put Kirk, Cisco, and Picard in that order.
that's the same order I would have. Yeah. I like Kirk because Kirk can be, he can be he can be diplomatic. He can think on his feet. He can talk his way through a situation because he does that in some episodes. But he's also not afraid to, throw a punch, you know. And I always loved the Star Trek fights in the original series because they were just so well choreographed. And they, let's face it, some of those fight scenes are just downright crazy, but they're so much fun to watch because they're extremely entertaining. Um, Whereas, I mean, we didn't have much of that in the Next Generation at all. And I think when we got to Deep Space Nine, they were starting to get some more physical combat in some of those episodes, which I thought was heading back in the right direction. And yeah, I mean, Cisco was more like Kirk, and I mean, he could be diplomatic. He was good, at discussing something, but he wasn't afraid to fight if he had to. If he had to fight, he would fight. So yeah, I Cisco is definitely my second captain for sure. And then I mean on the bottom, well, I mean it's a toss up: Janeway or Archer.
Picard.
I was never too thrilled with either one of those, really. So
And I do have a question for both. Uh, I've seen a few Star Trek episodes or Next Generation fans to say they don't like DS9 because of the darkness introduced with Section 31. But then here's my counterpoint to them. When I mean, I want to make a video on this to them. It's like, look, when you have a utopian, optimistic future, you gotta have an organization either in the background or secretive to do the dirty work that you are unable to do to keep your nice and fancy paradise clean and utopian dream however you want. And I hate it when those. I know that they're trying to do escapism and all that for their favorite show, but like, look, if you get down to it, what are you willing to do to defend this utopia, this dream? Are you willing to let it die whenever you face real force, like a real enemy that's willing to does not believe in anything you believe in? Are you willing to fight for it? And they would say, yeah, that's what Starfleet's for. But then I would do the curriculum or the Picard listing where Starfleet's a military organization. They have no rebuttal for that. It's like, okay, then what are you willing to do when your enemies don't play ball or willing to destroy your way of life? Are you willing to get your hands dirty and play their game to a certain extent to save your way of life? Or are you gonna try to do as cleanly as possible and still risk losing your way of life? Or are you going to get your hands dirty, play their games, play the stuff you need to win the war to protect your civilization? And if they say that option, then congrats. You just justified Section 31 and that dark aspect of Star Trek. Congratulations, you hypocrites.
yeah, well, the good thing was they didn't overdo it with the Section 31 stuff, right? You know, I don't remember them being in too many episodes in Deep Space Nine. Uh, but it did add another layer to the complexity of the Federation, of course, which did make add another level of interest to the universe of Star Trek. But they didn't overkill it with the Section 31, right? And
Yeah,
they
yeah, they
kind of
didn't.
did have they had a reason for existing too, to a certain extent, right? They weren't just there to be bad guys or whatever. Uh, whereas in what was it the movie they just made that TV movie
Section
uh
31.
Section 31 like that. That's what when they really screwed up the concept because it was just dark for the sake of being dark. It was just negativity for the sake of negativity. Um, I, I I I I didn't care for that at all. But yeah, I mean they didn't overkill it. And the thing is, I mean, next gen, for instance, would kind of cop out sometimes because when the Borg came into the series the first time, the first encounter was because of Q sending them thousands of light years to where the Borg were, And of course, the Borg were just slicing the Enterprise up, uh, and the Enterprise was cooked basically. And Picard basically had to beg Q to save them and get them out of there and back to where they started, before they were before they started, they were sent Q sent them back to where they originally were. And so that's like kind of a total cop out, because that's not even the Federation solving its problems. I mean, that's letting an alien basically solve the Federation's problems for them. So even though I like the Borg early on, they were entertaining. It was a bit of a stretch that you know the Federation didn't have anticipated something as powerful as something like the Borg they might eventually encounter. It seemed to me that well, they just weren't ready at all, basically.
And they were too arrogant for their own good too.
Yeah, once again, that was kind of the Roddenberry effect in those seasons before he passed away, when he was basically working behind the scenes. He was trying to make it too utopian, to the point where he kind of took the guts out of Star Trek, really. You know, because at least the original series, I mean, it had a backbone. There were episodes where there was some major stuff going on, um, and there were episodes that ended very darkly, where they couldn't solve everything at the end of an episode. What was the Vietnam analogy? That was it. Private Little War, where Kirk goes back to the planet.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, his friend Tyree or whatever, and the Valley people and the Hill people are basically in a proxy war, because the Klingons are arming one side with better weapons. So then, of course, Kirk is like, "Well, we're going to have to do the same. We're going to have to match them. We're going to have to upgrade the weapons for the Valley people, so they have a fighting chance, so they don't get murdered." And of course, McCoy, he's like totally against the idea at first. He's like, you know, you can't do that. That's against the Prime Directive. Yada yada yada. And once again, you had the Prime Directive in the way. One of Roddenberry's concepts, that I think, if I remember, uh, and I mean, the Prime Directive was an interesting idea, especially for the '60s. It was ahead of its time, but I remember there were stories where basically they'd kind of just ignore it. They'd put it to one side, because you just couldn't do the episode. Because if you did the Prime Directive, then you wouldn't be able to to help people. You wouldn't be able to be a positive force. You would just be sitting on your hands on the sidelines, being effectively useless. So once again, Roddenberry, he did some good things, but I found him he was a little too utopian for his own good, and other people were basically the ones that really took over the original series anyway, because you had people like DC Fontana as the head script writer, or script person, kind of reviewing all the scripts that were coming in from a lot of science fiction authors. And then you had what was his name? The guy that invented the Klingons. I can't remember his name now. Um, but he was one of the production staff. What was his name? Oh, Gene L. Kuhn. Gene L. Kuhn. I think Gene L. Kuhn actually probably contributed more to Star Trek in those early seasons than Roddenberry actually did. Because Roddenberry, I don't think he really, you know, contributed much that was of value, really. Because Gene Kuhn basically seemed to be the guy that invented a lot of what we know as Star Trek. And Roddenberry's writing, I thought he wrote some really bad episodes. Like he actually wanted the I Mud episode, uh, the first Harry Mudd episode. He wanted that to be the pilot. I could imagine what the executives would have thought if they'd seen that. They would have thought, well, this is a comedy show, right? You know, because it's almost played for laughs. The way the crew is getting so excited by these women. Always found that kind of laughable, really, because you know the bridge crew, the crew were usually a little more professional than in that episode. And I just and I mean the whole concept of the gelatin capsules at the end, where it turns out they weren't taking drugs to be beautiful. That it was all in their mind. And then because they give them the gelatin capsules, and then they get beautiful again. And I'm like, I don't buy that for a second. I don't care how much you think you're beautiful. That's not going to change your appearance. You're still going to look the same no matter how hard you think. And those women turn from, like, almost hag like into beauties after taking the gelatin. And it's like, nope, that's more fantasy than science fiction at that point. So
It's a youth pill.
yeah, but it wasn't even but it was a gelatin capsule. It didn't even have an effect. It might have been like, might as well taken a sugar pill. I mean, it had no medicinal properties at all. Uh so the original drug that Harry had was obviously, doing the real deal. But then to substitute, a fake substitute that had no actual medical properties, and for them to just be beautiful because they thought they were beautiful. It's just like I thought that was a really silly ending to the episode. And then there's other ones. What was the one he wrote? That one, the one with where they pull out the American flag at the end of the episode, uh, and
I don't
and
know.
and they have the American Constitution, like exact American Constitution on this alien world thousands of light years away. I mean, that was another Gene Roddenberry script, and I cringed when I saw that one for the first time, because it was just once again moving into the realm of fantasy more than anything else.
Well,
So
what was Gene trying to do anyway? Because if you go by that, was he trying to say that there are parallel cultures still similar to certain aspects of Earth somewhere out there, or what?
well, that occurred in the original series for sure. Like you had the gangster world, you had the Nazi world, you had the Roman world. I mean, I remember those three episodes in particular. But the thing was, when it came to the gangsters and the Nazis, those were caused by contamination from a previous Federation crew interfering with the planet's culture, right? Because in the piece of the action, it was a book on 1930s mobs that the previous crew had left with that culture, and that culture was they were very much influenced by anything outside. They would study it and really embrace it, which that planet did. And then as far as the Nazi one goes, that was once again a previous ship
Starfleet
had
captain.
landed. Yeah, and he was also, I believe, a historian, and the two planets weren't really getting along, I guess, but he thought somehow by introducing the efficient culture of Nazi Germany, that somehow he could make it benign and make it work for that population. And of course, he failed to learn history, and it repeated itself basically. So those episodes kind of make sense because they are from Federation contamination of previous captains or whatever. um, the one that does puzzle me a bit is the Roman Empire one, because I don't think there's any outside Federation influence for that one. So that seems to be one of those episodes where there is a parallel culture. not actually totally identical, but pretty close. Uh, so that one I always found a little iffy as far as the concept, even though it was well done. It was quite well executed as an episode, but that one was, you know, that one was getting a little bit out there as far as believability. But you know, those episodes did happen from time to time. But the one with it was another Vietnam allegory. I'm trying to remember the name of that episode. There was the Yangs and the Yins or something, and you know one side was like Asian, and the other side was all white people. I mean, Roddenberry really was like, dude, you're really getting this a little too close to the real situation, to the point once again where I could see a planet having similar problems, but not to the extent where it's almost a duplication of what's going on the Earth. And then, as I say, when that final scene with the flag and the Constitution, I just rolled my eyes because, you know, as much as some people have this theory of parallel planets with similar cultures, I cannot see a culture being that identical to another planet. I just once again think it's drifting into fantasy at that point.
Mm. Well, PvP, I'm going to start wrapping it up. It's approaching the 2 hour
Yep.
mark. So if you want to give
Yep.
your little promotion about what you do on your channel, what you plan to do in the future, and what you do with the community, are you on other people's YouTube channels or all that? Are you planning to do live streams in the future, or are you planning to do watch parties of your own eventually, or what else? Trying to help you out, PvP. Go ahead and do
Yeah,
your own little promotion.
yeah, I would like to do some live stuff and do some watch parties eventually. Um, right now, it's just basically a music channel. I've got a lot of music on there, a lot of music videos and playlists of various bands and albums. So if you're into music, go check that out. That's pretty much it. What's up there right now, and I don't foresee adding anything probably in the next little while. So, yeah, that's about it. And oh, I do go on other channels. Curtis Selby's channel when he's not working. Sometimes he's on weekends. I think he might do a watch party for a couple of Star Treks tonight because he's been doing those on Saturday evenings after he gets off work for the last number of weeks now. Um, so I do go on his channel. Gorillas Random Thoughts, of course, when he does his cigar lounge. And then I guess Gorilla's probably doing a watch party on his channel tomorrow evening on Sunday as well. So those are probably the channels I mainly hang around on right now. Um, because yeah, those seem to work out best schedule wise and content wise. Uh, they're usually doing something that's pretty interesting. So, uh, other than that, though, I guess there's not much to add, really, Dan. So
All
yeah,
right.
thanks
And
for letting me plug things there.
all right, and if there are any single Canadian women near where PvP is, consider dropping him a line and give him a nice call and set up a date between you two guys or girls.
Yeah, well, I haven't met any on YouTube yet, so that seems to be not working out so well. But oh well.
Never too late for love, PvP.
Yeah, well, that's what they say.
All right, and as for me, I am Sci-Fi Historian. On this channel, I cover different sci-fi franchises of characters, lore, and all that. I do my sci-fi watch parties usually on Wednesdays, 6:00 p.m. Pacific time with my co-host if he's up for it. I do my live streams usually on Saturdays between 2 and 4 p.m. Pacific time. And I try to upload a new video on this channel towards the end of the precinct on the beginning of next week. And I do have another channel called Ultimate Sorcerer Dan. That one I cover Japanese anime or cartoons in general. Right now, we just started season 2 of The Shield Hero. And I do the watch parties there on Friday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific time, usually after Girls Wanton streams. And if any of you want to check that out, please check out that channel, Old War Sorcerer Dan. Beyond that, everyone, live up and prosper. May the force be with you. Until next time, everyone, have a good day, night, river, and have a good afternoon.
Bye, everybody.